Good afternoon, coasters, and welcome to another Malzilla-sode covering the Chaotix case files. Apologies for not covering last week's episode. It didn't really offer a whole lot, and I was kind of busy with other things, so I thought I'd just give you a quick double episode. But before we dive into that, there is a fair amount of Sonic news, so we get a special edition of SNN Sonic News Network. Uh, Obviously, a couple big things have been released in the last week. Obviously, Kirsten Bell has been cast as Amy Rose for Sonic Movie 4. Um, she's obviously mostly known for Anna from Frozen, her role in The Good Place, as well as Veronica Mars. It's a very safe and smart choice, I think, to voice Amy. I think it's a good song. It's a solid, safe, smart. I think she'll do a good job. Plus, she's worked with Ben Schwartz before, and if you figure that Sonic 4 is really going to be sold on the dynamic of Sonic and Amy, it's good to have two actors that have good chemistry with one another. So there's that. On Friday, last Friday, which would be February 20th, the Sonic DC2 comic was officially announced. So, I mean, it basically we all knew it was coming. We saw the leaks. So it's official. It's another 5-issue miniseries called Metal Legion. Obviously, it's going to be Eggman and Lex Luthor being the big bads, and then Sonic and Company dealing with them as Eggman and Lex have basically created cross-world ring portals between the DC world and Sonic's world, and now people are going back and forth. We see some of the preview art, big fishing, and then Aquaman standing in front of him with Froggy on his shoulder. We see Clutch and Rough and Tumble trading arms with Inner Gang from Metropolis. So we're starting to see a little bit more of that Sonic and DC melding, which is awesome. Also, a really fun cameo of the three Sonic Forces avatar folks walking down the streets of Metropolis, including everyone's favorite unofficial character, Gadget the Wolf, or Gadget the OC. um, Obviously, we already seen the designs of Lex Armored Eggman, we've seen Catwoman Rouge, we've seen Starfire Blaze, and we've seen Aquaman Big. But apparently, joining the team up this time will be Supergirl Cream, complete with her own crypto cheese. So that's very cute, and hopefully, maybe we'll see some fun Knuckles and Cream scenes. Um, no words on Omega makes me sad, and Chaotix nowhere to be seen as of yet. Maybe they'll show up. I think we'll probably end up getting like a third one to round this out, so we'll see how that goes. Moving on to other information, on Monday the 23rd, IGN's been doing some news this last few days, and they announced that my lifelong dream has finally come true, though it officially came true in December of last year when we had the Godzilla Sonic Rumble event, but much like Thanos, it was inevitable. We are finally getting the IDW Sonic Godzilla crossover comic book that I have been eagerly awaiting. The internet is having a bunch of fun. It's also interesting because the writers and artists behind it are not your typical Sonic writers or Sonic artists, which is interesting because, as we've talked before, Sega is usually pretty. They have a bullpen that they like to draw from, and they don't really go outside the bullpen. But we're starting to see a lot of famous artists do covers. For example, Clayton Crane, who is a longtime Marvel legend for things like X Force and Venom and Carnage, he did a really fun variant cover. But it's going to be written by Nick Marino and artwork by Jack Lawrence, and of course colors by Sonic veteran Reggie Graham. So Reggie's there to hold down the fort from the Sonic crew, but obviously looks like Jack Lawrence has done some art too. But Nick is a new writer, so it's kind of a fun pair up some veteran Sonic artists with more of a Godzilla writer, so that would be fun. If you are interested in checking out some of Nick's work, he wrote the fun Godzilla Rivals Destroyer versus Biolante. Highly recommend that. And he's also done some work on Boom's Power Rangers. So a little of a tokusatsu writing background, but I think it'll be fun. So definitely when that comes out this summer, should everything check out with Toho and Sega, definitely I'll be definitely checking that out. But that covers all the news. Let's get on to the case file. So I'm going to do a little rewind to episode 4, which basically saw the Chaotix leaving Spiral Hill and going to investigate why Gunn is so involved in the theft of these astroscopic lenses. Well, they managed to sneak into a gun base that is just getting ready for a grand opening, and after well, a couple things happens. One, SBO finds the computer room. Well, Vector technically found the computer room and sent SBO. SBO made a joke. Vector did not appreciate it. Um, in it, SBO tries to find some data, but bumps into Rouge. Now, of course, Rouge also just kind of styles on him a little bit, saying she heard him a mile away, obviously referencing her ears because, she's a bat. She hears things. She gives them a file on something called Red Spectre, which we'll learn a little bit more about in episode 5. But again, SBO gets off. Meanwhile, Vector and Charmy, they end up getting detained by Gunn. Commander Tower is there, so to see, Roger flex his Commander Tower vocals yet again. So we get to see them kind of banter back and forth, but it's not as tense as it appears to be. Obviously, he knows they're both on the same side. Vector tries to you know, posture a little bit, but we find out ultimately that Tori is, well, not necessarily a gun agent. She is a gun associate. And she did, in fact, hire the Chaotix, and she was, in fact, working for Gunn. So a little bit, not necessarily betrayal, but kind of, she's got multiple plates spinning on this. She does help get released, and she's sincere in her the appearance of her apologies for this all, frustration. Uh, but again, if you've kept in the Sonic lore loop over the last couple years, Tori is an associate of Gunn's. Tower says she's a specialist in, acquisitions, which, if you remember the Sonic X Shadow Maria, Dr. Gerald, you know, note, not journal. The first page is a little memo from T to Tower about the journal and how a lot of things were redacted and how she was able to get a hand of it, basically confirming that Tori was the one who found it, and also confirmed that Tori is interested in the lives of Maria and Gerald, thus, while not officially confirming, giving a little bit more fuel to the fire that she is, in fact, Maria's younger sister that was referenced in the journal. But yeah, episode 4 ends with the Chaotix back in the Chaotix Copter flying away. They're all kind of in a bit of a putz until ultimately the Chaotix Copter crashes. Episode 5 picks up in the ruins of that. The copter is kaput. They're upset. They're hurt. They're beat up. Charmy bent his wing. But lo and behold, they see some lights and they're trying to figure out what to do. But lo and behold, apparently, General's there. So General offers his assistance. He picks up the helicopter, and the Chaotix follow him to, of course, if there's General, there's going to be Cream and Vanilla. So everyone's favorite rabbits, or second or third favorite rabbits in the Sonic franchise. I see you, Bunny fans. I'm with you. And needless to say, the rabbit family is happy to see the detectives. Cream offers her assistance, but Vanilla declines and says that she has schoolwork to do. So Cream goes to school. Interesting lore tidbit. Ultimately, she and Charmy go out to play. It's obviously getting evening time, and Vanilla tells them not to tire them, not to get too rambunctious, but she does offer general services in scanning the file about Red Spectre. Apparently, a lot of it is redacted, but something Eggman is involved somehow. So they figured, oh god, we'll deal with that in the morning. So they all go to bed. Vanilla gets some spare blankets and pillows, and Vector, feeling down, kind of goes out to do some stargazing, but then is accompanied by Vanilla, and they have a moment, which, as you know, this story is Vector telling Eggman and Sonic, and of course, Eggman and Sonic call utter bullshit on Vanilla's over amorous attitude to Vector. Vector says he'll tell the story how he wants to tell it, and they're like, unreliable narrator. But ultimately, she cheers him up. And then as they head back, they see that Charmy says he's now the Chaotix mechanic and that he is going to fix the Chaotix copter. Well, they wake up the next morning, find out that he spent all night working on it, but he didn't quite fix it. He mainly tore out some wires and colored it crayon, thus turning it into modern art, as Vanilla said it. General had no words to describe it, but Vanilla told him to hush. So General gives them the location of an abandoned Eggman base, so maybe they can find out a little bit more on Red Spectre, what Red Spectre is, who Red Spectre is, and what they want with the astroscopic lenses. Now, back in the present, Eggman is excited because he knows this is when he gets involved in this story. So we seem to be getting a little closer to the present now. How far we are from the present, well, we'll find out. But Eggman, Vector does say that what they found in the base was unexpected. And Sonic says, "What'd you find?" He said, "We found Eggman's artificial intelligence daughter, Sage." And as soon as he hears Sage, Eggman is very happy. He says he's so proud of his daughter. He's definitely being an egg dad at the moment. So, obviously, this is some also news because Sage will be back next week, or making her debut next week, which is always fun. I like Sage. And this also definitely puts this story post Frontiers. So where it is between Frontiers and the current IDW comics, I'm sure we'll find out eventually if it really matters at all. Who knows? So that's basically the recap of the last two episodes. Kind of, I don't want to say filler. It's nice interactions between the characters. Um, General now officially has a voice actor. He's never had a voice before, and of course, he was voiced by a veteran voice actor, Alejandro Sab, who you may have heard from a bunch of different animes. He is currently voicing Deadpool in Marvel Rivals, and he's also voiced Shallot from the Dragon Ball Legends, so an ancient Saiyan. So he's been in a lot of things. You've probably heard him before, from things like Evangelion to Gundam and My Hero Academia. Again, if any animes come out in the last 5-6 years, he's probably been a part of it. Likewise, Vanilla gets her a first vocal performance since like Sonic X, so like 2003, 2004. She is voiced by Jenny Yokobori, who kind of doesn't have a whole lot of credits to her name. Um, she voices Kumiko Albertson in The Simpsons. She's voiced some characters on Pokemon, but her main ones is she does voice a couple characters in Hello Kitty and Genshin Impact. So there you go. So it's always nice to hear some new voices to the cast. So if you got your character bingo, again, we've seen Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Eggman, the Chaotix, obviously, Tower, Tori, the Babylon Rogues, Vanilla, Cream, and General. So Surprise, surprise, no Amy yet, no Omega, no Shadow. Oh, Rouge. We also saw Rouge, and then we'll be seeing Sage next week. So odds are, I feel like we'll probably see just about everyone by the end. I don't think we're close to being done just yet because I feel like there are questions the media asks. How much is Rouge involved? Is again, who or what is Red Spectre? What do they want with the astroscopic lenses? What is it the astroscopic lenses actually really do other than amplified power? I've seen a recent fan theory in the last few hours about kind of coincidentally that all the colors of the episode chapters have kind of corresponded with the world rings from colors of obviously Knuckles Chaotix, so maybe Red Spectre is Metal Sonic Kai, which was name dropped back in episode 1. So obviously maybe some Chaotix connections there. Of course, they could also just be referencing the Chaos Emeralds because they're pretty much all the generic colors. So we'll find out next week. I feel we're at least, depending on what happens next week, we are probably either going to get 2 to 3 more episodes. I think I don't see them going beyond 10 just because, you know, that's that'd be about a, you know, 3.5 hour production, all things considered. But yeah. So again, I enjoyed it. Obviously not much to talk about. Obviously, you have some fun Vector vanilla scenes. Vector's got a simp, it's what he does. But yeah, again, cool to see Vanilla. Cool to see Gemerald get some voices in Cream. Obviously, Michelle Ruff returns to voice her. She's Cream, so everything's good. Well, until next time, coasters, keep an eye lookout. We should have a couple more Sonic X videos coming up to wrap up season 1, and hopefully shortly in the next week or so, we will record the beginning of season 2, covering the Sonic Adventure adaptation. Boy, howdy, do I have thoughts. So, till next time, stomp you later. And again, you've been listening to a Sonic Hosts Coast to Coast presentation of a Malzilla. Talk to you later.